Om. Sai Ram. Just to give some background, last week we were looking at the inner world and the external world, and the lack of peace in the external world. And Swami is asking, can you tell me what have you seen in this world so far of this external world? And the devotee is giving the answer, describing various things he has encountered. We will continue today, and I think it will become more and more clear what is the external world, what is the internal world, and who we are. So I will ask Sister Kalyani to begin reading.
Sai Ram, Uncle, are we going to get somebody else to read the other part as well?
I don't know. I can ask somebody to volunteer. If not, so what we were thinking of is two people to read, if possible. One person reads what the devotee says, and one person reads what Swami says. So that way, it becomes clearer to people. So, are there any volunteers who will volunteer to read the portion of one of the portions? It's okay, Kalyan. I think today you read then.
Sai Ram, I will volunteer. Sai Ram, this is Sister Andy, and I will volunteer to one of the readings.
Okay, thank you very much, sister.
Okay, I will read the devotee's part, and then maybe Auntie can read the Swami's part.
Okay.
Yes.
Devotee. No, the screen is permanent. The pictures come and go.
The Swami, as you say, the screen is permanent and the pictures come and go. For this permanent and impermanent, we use the words steady, sthira, and unsteady, asthira, permanent, nitya, and impermanent, anitya, imperishable, akshara, and perishable, shra. I will ask questions on another subject. Does the picture project on the screen or the screen on the picture? Which is the basis for what?
The pictures project on the screen, so the screen is the basis for the picture.
Swami, so too the external world, which is like the picture, has no permanence. It changes. The internal world is fixed. It doesn't change. The external has the internal as its basis, its substratum. But
Swami, I heard you say imperishable, perishable, and permanent, impermanent.
Yes, my boy, you were speaking now of pictures. Do they have names and forms?
Haven't they? It's only because they have names and forms that the story is understood. Only then do we recollect Ramayana and Bharata. There is no formless name and nameless form.
I think we'll pause here, sisters. I think we can just make sure that we go through whatever we have read so far, so that we don't have full understanding of what Swami has said. Swami here is talking about, so the screen, the Swami gave the analogy of screen and the pictures. in a cinema theater, in a film. And Swami says the screen is permanent. Again, that's within inverted commas, okay? So that's not really permanent, but it's permanent, just great compared to the pictures which come and go, which is continuously changing. And Swami gives three pairs of words in Sanskrit. I think it's good to learn the Sanskrit words also, because Swami says, to learn Sanskrit means to understand the Sanskrit words is good enough. We don't have to become masters of the Sanskrit language as well. So the three pairs of words are sthira and asthira. Sthira means that's steady, something which is not shaking. Asthira means that which is continuously shaking. Is one word, one pair. Nitya and anitya, that which is always there, permanent, and anitya, that which is not, is temporary. Then akshara is that which is never destroyed or imperishable, that it never undergoes destruction, akshara. And perishable is kshara. So those were the pairs of words Swami is introducing so that we learn them. And then Swami goes on to say the screen is permanent like the internal world, and the pictures are like the external world, continuously changing. So these are the concepts Swami has introduced, and he also is introducing the name and form concept, the nama rupa. There's form and name for everything in this world. So those are the concepts which Swami has introduced. So if anyone would like to comment on these, and then we can discuss them more. Please. Sai Ram, everyone. Or any questions also someone can ask if someone has a question.
I have a question.
Yes,
Sai Ram, I have a question here. So what we see in the outside world, how we perceive it in the internal world, what is the process on that one? If anyone could give me an idea like how that we perceive those into our internal, I don't know, is it in the mind or it's in the chitta or wherever it is, how we perceive them, how the process is there.
Swami will, I don't know, anyone else would like to comment on this, please?
Sai Ram, brother. So I think Swami is saying about the Atma. Atma is the permanent. Whatever we see outside is not permanent. So we have to focus. We are not the body. Who am I? So we have to, once we focus on that one, when we walk on the path, when we identify who am I, then you will understand Atma cannot destroy or never die. That one has there's no difference between Atma and the God. That is always permanent. That's all, Sai Ram, brother.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to say something, please? I'd just like to clarify, Swami has still not introduced the word Atma here. He's still talking about the world. The external world is whatever we see, like trees and plants and everything. But in reality, where are we seeing them means in our mind. So everyone knows that, if we look at an object, the image of that object actually is reflected in our eyes. And through that image is processed by the brain. So ideally, the screen is the internal world. Our mind is the screen on which the external world is reflected. And it's just like the cinema. It's just that the screen is inside us. Then you can ask, so how is it permanent? For example, if we look at a tree today,
Sorry, I think the voice is not coming up.
Sairam?
That tree may look different tomorrow. But if we have captured that image on our undergo change, so we will have that change, that image remaining for a longer time than the tree which is outside. So the external world undergoes more changes than the internal world. But that's why, so if you look at uh, the words, Swami says, the Swami has put the word permanent within inverted commas. That means the internal world, though it is more permanent than the external world, it is not really permanent. And of course, the Atman is permanent. But at this point in time, we are all talking about the external, everything which is external to the Atma. So Swami has not even touched the topic of Atma yet. So he is just, because he is talking about the devotee was complaining that the external world was noisy. So he was staying inside the hall. So what Swami is telling is, if you find the external world disturbing, you go into your internal world. There you will be able to cut off the changes which the external world goes through. So that is going within our mind, closing all our senses. So that is the sort of analogy which Swami is trying to explain here. That's my understanding. Maybe others can correct or something like that. But
So I want to ask an added question to this one. So how is the dream world, whatever we see in the dream world, that how that comes into here? What do we see in the outside world? We see the sensory organs, and then through the from the senses, and then the sensory organs, and then we see this world inside. That maybe we are seeing them in our mind, capturing it. So if it is in the dream world, where is it coming from, and how does that work? Maybe I'm sorry if I am distracting from that thing, but I would like to have a good understanding on this one, if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
so it's slightly off topic. I think Swami may be explaining some of this later on, but I will just mention the internal world is the dream world. So we even indulge in daydreaming. We can, which is completely disconnected with the external world. Though it receives the impressions from external world, we project that image inside our mind, and that becomes a permanent image. And that is how, in our dream state, we can again relive those moments if and when we want, or however the mind is working. So that is so in the dream world, you are able to create your own or everything in this world. Even other people you can create in this internal world. Like if you are dreaming, you have X, Y, or Z appearing in your dream. You will go to any country in the world. Nothing is stopping you. So that internal world is also equally valid like the external world. So your dream world is your internal world. But that's because the images remain. Like, somebody may have died 20 years ago, but you may see them in your dream. But in the external world, you can't see them. So they are somewhere in your memory as a permanent entity, as long as that memory is retained. So that's the internal world.
Sairam?
Yes, Sister Sandeha.
Sairam, brother. So, my understanding of this internal world versus external world has to do is very similar to how you defined it earlier, but I also see it as something like the internal world is more of our soul, what we are actually, like what our soul is made of. And externally is not just it could be defined like the picture of what we see, but it's also what goes around us. So external to an individual, the internal is our soul, and the external of this individual is what we have around us. So it could be our careers, it could be our friendships, our relationships, our material possessions. Those are all external. And when I read this paragraph, what my understanding is that whatever is external to us doesn't define us, because they are all impermanent and they can all change and they all evolve. So even if we have friends or relatives, we can say I'm so and so's friend, I'm so and so's relative, but that is all impermanent. It's not permanent because that can change in a second. We could have the best job, but it could change. So that is also not permanent. But what we are is what our soul is made of. And the difference between Atma and soul is something that I don't know what the difference is, but they are very close to each other, I'm thinking. So that is what we are. Within us is what we are. And whatever we have around us is basically what our mind thinks is this is what we have. So we are made of this, but that is not true. Sairam.
Sairam, sister. Thank you very much. Anyone else has something to say, please?
Sairam, this is Ananti. In this particular context, I believe that if the permanent is referred to as Atma or soul, Swami would have put this under the quote. Just like Brother Runo explained, when someone put the word under the quotation, that means that that's not the real meaning. It's something slightly different. That's why if the screen is permanent, if it is really referred to as Atma or soul, then Swami doesn't need to put that permanent under the quote, because that is Atma or soul is really permanent. That's why, in my understanding, as Brother Aruno indicated, in this particular context, the screen is not referred to as Atma or soul. That is something else. That is my humble opinion. Thank you, Saira.
Okay, Sairam, sister. I think we can
Sairam.
proceed. Okay, Sairam.
This is Muthukumar Swami. Actually, what I understand is actually external world. It is a external world only makes us to or pushes us to or give accessible to understand Atma. Atma, in my sense, we can only using the analytical mind or critical mind to investigate and explore the existence of in a solo in a world. But external world is easily accessible to our senses. So that's why we strongly believe only the external world, because it is our perception. So we believe it concretely that it is existing. But in the case of Atma, we have to deduce it, or we have to guess it and explore, go into it, and come to an understanding. Yeah, there is some substratum or the basis for this existence. But so the Atma is actually it's a concept given by scripture and sages and everybody to go in search of Atma. So there's a goal to be achieved. So Baba has given assurance. There is substratum, there's a basis, Atma is the basis, and this external world is the manifestation of Atma. That is quite evident. So only accessible is the external world. So external world, Maya, is a gift. Maya is a gift to the humanity to explore and experience the Atma. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam. I think Sister Kalyani and Ananti, we can proceed, I think, for the next sections. I think Sister Ananthi, you have to start. I think Sister Kalyani, why don't you start? We can switch the roles around.
Okay. So Swami, good. That is well said. Where there is form, there must be name. Where there is name, there must be form. They are connected with each other. When we say separable relationship, it is to this relationship that we refer. Have you understood now the meaning of cosmos, prapancha? You'll just
Sister
continue.
Ananthi, or you continue then. Yeah.
Devotee, I have grasped that it is identified with name and form. But Swami, I would like to hear you describe how it originated. Swami, do not fall into the tangle now. If we engage ourselves in describing that, it would be like getting into a mango garden without eating the fruit that we have plucked, calculating the number of trees in the garden, the number of twigs on each branch, the number of fruits living on each twig, and what the total price of all the mangoes would be if the price of one mango were so much. Instead of senselessly wasting precious time in the collection of this information, we should, like the person who eats the fruit, find out what is of primary importance, understand that thing first, and attain contentment and joy. Leave that alone. What did you say is the nature of this world, prapancha? This world has another name. Do you know it? Devotee. I said that the world is identified with name and form. I have heard that it is known by another name, creation, jagat.
Maybe we'll stop there, Sister. We can. So here Swami is talking about the name and form. He introduces the topic. He has not explored it too much. But everything in this world has a name, and it seems to have a form. Like if you say a tree has a form, or many forms, and we have a name called tree. So the world, in everything in this world, we are able to give it some name, externally and internally, I guess. Then, of course, the devotee is asking some questions about how did it all originate. And Swami is basically telling him that it's better you don't waste your time in that. Because if you start counting the number of twigs or number of fruits in the garden, that's forever. So, and you may not be able to even do it. And I think by the time you finish it, the fruit may have gotten rotten. So he says you might as well eat the fruit first and not bother about some of the details. So I think in any education, we need to know what is key, and we should just go after that and not busy ourselves with questions which are not necessarily fruitful. I think that's what I understand from this. Then Swami is introducing another name called Jagat. I think which will be explained a little later. So anyone would like to comment on what you have read, please? Any questions? Please go ahead.
So, the devotee is saying, so he's grasped that the cosmos or prapancha is identified with name and form. And so Swami's not separating out external versus internal world or prapancha here. So I just want to clarify, so that means both the external world and the internal world, they are both identified with name and form?
Yes. So the thing is, the prapancha basically means 5 elements. Okay, the 5 elements are sky, air, fire, water, and earth. So this entire world is supposed to be made of this, which is made of all atoms. Okay, atoms make up all this, and so that's the way the external what we see also is like that. But even the body which we have is also made up of those 5 principles. Your eyes, the instruments which we use are also made of the same thing. And the body in which we live is also made up of that. So that is why Swami is saying prapancha. It's a prapancha. That Swami has used this word. I don't know whether he has already used it. There's something called bahya prapancha, which is an external world made of 5 elements. There's an internal world made of 5 elements. Okay. So that is why Swami says you should understand. You are using this internal world of 5 elements to study the external world of 5 elements. But together, after all, your body is also part of this world. It's a creation. Like every individual here is made of 5 elements, and for me they are external, and for them I am external. So it's the same way. Ultimately, all these, even the internal world, is also composed of the 5 elements. It's the 5 elements which we are using. When we say 5 elements, they are not only gross, they are subtle forms of that 5 elements also. There's an earth principle, which is the mud and soil and what we see. There's an earth principle in the mental world also. So all of them are also made of the 5 elements. So that's why Swami is using the word cosmos. I think that's a translation, but Swami is using the original Sanskrit word, which is prapancha, something which is made of the 5 elements. That's what Swami is referring to. And he's not distinguishing them. Though there is some distinction, Swami, in this, on that paragraph, he's not distinguishing them.
Thank you. And also, I guess that term that he's using, separable relationship,
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what that means.
You mean, the name and the form. Okay. So there's a relationship between the name and the form. Okay, so I think Swami may be talking about it a little later, but because you asked the question, I'll say. For example, the name tree is actually separate from the form of tree. Okay, and you may apply that name to various trees. Though they are related, they are separate also. Okay. So the name and form, though they work together, they mean each other, there's a separation. Okay, so that's what Swami is sort of identifying that.
Thank you.
I don't want to give away some of the stuff which Swami is describing later on, so we will continue. If you have any questions, we can discuss.
I have a question here. So the internal world, you are explaining whatever the cosmos is made up of, those 5 elements is also inside us. But do they have anything related to this manam, buddhi, sittam, ahangaram? I don't know how to put them in English. Do they have anything in relation to that or something like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think Swami will talk about this, but because you asked, I don't want to keep it inquisitive. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is something called Samkhya Yoga. In that there are 24 principles which are described. Okay, the 24 principles make up this entire creation. These are basically the karmendriyas, the organs of action, jnanendriyas, the organs of perception, the organs, then the 5 koshas, the 5 bodies which we have, Annamaya, Pranamaya, and so on. I think there are different places Swami is talking about them. And then there are 5 pranas. They are the life forces which operate this body. And then there is manas, buddhi, chittam, ahankara. There are 4 of them, which are 4 aspects of the bigger mind. All of them constitute 24 principles. And these 24 principles are called anatma. They are non-atmic. They are not the atma. Okay. So if you look at the first 20, that is the external world, which we see. The internal world consists of the manas, buddhi, chittam, and ahankara. And in a rough way, there are some of them which sort of are gray area, but it's okay. We will just stick to that. 20 external and the 4 internal, which is considered the internal world. Because that's where the mind, the buddhi, chittam, and ahankara operate. That is more or less the internal world. Then there's a 25th principle, which is called the Atma. So all these 24 principles are considered anatma, non-atma. They are not the atma. Whereas the atmic principle, which is the 25th principle, is the real atman, and that is the real you. There are many words used, like, people use the word like soul, which is a Western borrowed word, but the thing is, it may have slightly different connotation, but more or less it means the same thing. But in the Sanatana Dharma philosophy, Atma is the 25th principle, and the 24 principles, which are non-Atma, include the mind and mental faculties. I hope that answers your question, but I think Swami will go on to talk about them later on. I think there's one chapter where Swami is in detail discussing this in Sandeha Nivarini.
Sairam, Brother Arno, that's a great answer. When I was reading this Bhagavad Gita, in that one of those says more 24, whatever the principle that aspects you were describing as the 24 of them are like a more, but the 25th principles like a Vennai. I don't know. Maybe you can put them in English, but I didn't understand that part. But when they were talking about 24, those items are like a more, they didn't put it in detail. But that's a great answer. Thank you, Sairam.
You're welcome, Sairam. Okay, maybe we'll continue, Sister Kalyani.
Swami, this name-form world, this creation, Jagat, is like magician's art. It is real only as long as you see it. So too, the world is real only as long as you experience with your senses, indriyas. That is to say, anything not experienced in the wakeful stage is taken as non-existent. Under such circumstances, we say Sat for existence and Asat for non-existence. Now, what do you say of this world? Is it existence or non-existence? Devotee. It exists in experience in the wakeful stage, so it is existence, Sat. It doesn't exist in the deep sleep stage, so it is non-existence, Asat. Swami. Oh, existence, non-existence, Sat, Asat, did you say? These two words together give Sat Asat, right? This is what is spoken of by us as illusion, Maya. Do you know? Devotee. Is that illusion, Maya, similar to magic? Swami. Is it not? All this is magician's work. Indra jalam idam sarvam. That is what the sages have been saying for ages. Devotee. Then there must be a performer of all this magic, right? Swami. Certainly there is. That magician is God. He is endowed with countless auspicious attributes. The great sages have formed a name on the basis of each attribute and a form on the basis of...
Pause here, sister. Sairam? Sister Kalyani?
Oh, yes, Sairam?
I think we lost Sister Kalyani. I hope others can hear. Okay.
Oh,
I think we lost you, sister. Anyway, I think we can pause here. We can discuss and then continue. Okay. Swami has introduced another word which is called Sadasat, which is Sat and Asat combined. Something which exists and doesn't exist. So Swami is basically, yes.
Sorry, I think you're fading in and off. Maybe it's because you're not speaking in front of the mic. So we are losing you. So I just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Can you hear? Can you hear?
This is good. Yes. Thanks. I think whenever
okay,
your face goes to the other side, then we lose what you hear. We lose it like it's not even fading up, we lose you altogether. That's why. Okay.
I see.
Okay. Thank you.
Put on my headphones, so I guess now it should be better. So Swami has introduced a word called sadasat, which basically means a mixture of sat and asat, that which exists and that which doesn't exist. So this entire world exists and doesn't exist. So that is something which Swami has introduced here. So it's a mixture, and that's what is called Maya, Swami says. And that's one. And then Indra Jalam Idam Sarvam. He says this entire world which we see is magic. And a magician is performing it. I think those are the points. I guess if anyone has anything to say or any questions on this, then because the topics which Swami is introducing is very, very intricate. So we can go pair by pair, I think, so that we don't miss our way. I think that will be good. Okay. And if people don't understand, I think we should ask the question.
Sairam, brother.
We can discuss it. Yes.
Sairam, brother, this maybe this particular set of questions and answers are a little bit tricky, though. It's not easy to understand, and maybe subject matter also. It's a very very complex, and if we put an example for each question and answers, maybe a simple example, then in my humble opinion, it would be easy to understand. Otherwise, as a philosophy or the Vedanta itself, it's little harder to understand. What is sadasat? The existence and non-existence. What is Maya and this and that? Maybe it's by a little bit of little example, it would be easy to understand.
Okay, sister. So I will give a standard example which is used to describe Maya. I think hopefully that. So, for example, Swami says, in the around twilight, you're walking along a street. When you walk along a street, you see something which is a string or rope or whatever. And because there was not enough light, you think it is a snake. So what sits there is actually a rope. But the image you have superimposed on that is a snake. Okay. But the thing is, does the snake exist outside of the rope? No, it doesn't. It is just the image which you perceive in your mind is a snake. But that snake doesn't exist. But the rope exists. Okay. So this world, there is always something existing, but whatever we perceive may not exist because of the magic. So magic is a magician, when they do a magic, something looks real, but actually it is not real. That is why it's called magic. But the thing is, for all our perceptions, we really can't rationally understand that it doesn't exist, because the magician is so good that he makes it all look real. Okay, but in your intelligence, you know that fellow is a magician and he is working magic. So what you see is not reality. But the thing is, this world is like that. We are always perceiving something which doesn't exist. And that perception of that which does not exist on something which already exists is called sadasat. So this world is actually God, but we are seeing different things. We are seeing trees, plants, and we can't get rid of it. But we should understand that the tree which is there is not really real. There's something which is underneath, which is God, and that is ever permanent. So in this world, that is called illusion. Illusion is basically that something which makes it look something else. Even though, so we can't say there's nothing. So there's something there which is there, but we cannot see the real thing because of lack of light. So that is why ajnana is when you don't know whether it's a rope or a snake. but you think it is a snake. And when you put light on, which is called jnanam, then you know, oh, this is a rope. So we all think this is the world, or is this, there's God, everyone, we all talk. There's God, there's Atman is everywhere and all that, but we really can't experience it. But when we really understand or we come to know who we are, or as we are as Atman, then it becomes real. See, for example, even we are now confusing between the internal world. Is the internal world the soul, or the internal world is, you should understand. For example, the devotee went inside the hall. Okay. Is the hall the devotee? No. The devotee is inside the hall. But if the devotee thought he is the hall, then that is an illusion. But fortunately, the devotee doesn't think so. So asat means an image which you perceive which doesn't exist. Sat means the thing which is really. In this case, the rope is Sat. Asat is the snake, that which does not exist. But both of them are combined, and that's what you're perceiving. And that is why it's called Sadasat. So until the Asat leaves because of light, your situation is you're facing a mixture of truth and untruth, or truth, something which exists and something which doesn't exist. I hope that sort of clarifies that statement of Swami with this analogy.
So
Yes.
Brother Aruno,
Yes.
what I am getting from this is, so magician is doing his magic, a creator who has created this creation. There is no room for, not I should say room, it means we should not really react. We should enjoy the creator's creation and see his leela, what is happening. So any situation, any human being, any environment should not affect, because it is a magic. It's his creation. So just be part of it, be content, and enjoy the journey on earth.
Exactly, sister. Exactly. Just like you should go for a magic show and then you be happy and you leave. That's what it is. That's the way we should live in this world, I think.
And because of our good karma, the fee, the we buy that ticket to come as a human being. So why to waste it in angry, jealousy, all of those things? So we have paid, means our good karma has bought us as a human being. So let's enjoy the show of this magician.
Yes.
Sairam, we can understand with another analogy. We go to movie theater. In the movie theater, actually the scene is made visible on the screen. There's an operator behind it. There's an operator just behind ourselves. That is, he operates that projector, because if he wants to on the movie, then he does like that. Or if he wants to shut off that movie, he also has the will and ability to on it or off it. So like that, there is some operator, but invisible to us, because we cannot easily infer. We can only infer there should be an operator, but it is not easily seen, or it is not easily seen with our senses. That is my understanding. And so the only thing is, we can only see and experience only the outside world. So we have to understand. Only thing we can understand is this outside world is impermanent. That is the truth. So what is truth is, this is impermanent and impermanent and perishable world. Only that concept we have to be very strict to it, because the Atma, we cannot. The Atma is the knower. We know. We understand. We know. We are the knower. So I am the knower. But the only thing is, I am only concentrating on the outside world, Maya. Only I can see the Maya only. Outside world only I can see. So we have to convince that this outside world is impermanent and perishable. That is the real realization. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, I just want to make one point. This the concept of sadasat or the word sadasat. I think if we say this, listeners will have a little bit better understanding. So to explain that in the Advaita philosophy, usually they say asat means a thing that never exists. For example, you can say a hare's horn, means muyal kombu, they say, or a barren woman's child. So they never ever exist. But then, but sadasad means they are. It's not like barren barren woman's child or a hare's horn. So that's why it's called midya. It is relatively true. So the world is not asad, means to 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 understand that better. We can relate to that. So, but at the same time, it's not sat like it always exists. It doesn't always exist. So it's in between. So that's why this that name is given, Saira.
Okay, thank you, brother Saira.
Sairam, actually, in one of Dr. Narendranath Reddy's speech, I listened to it, and in one occasion, in Swami's room, when Swami was telling the world is unreal or totally false, then they asked Swami, so if external world is false, then you are also false? We are seeing you, we experience you, so you are also false? No, I am the truth. I am the truth. I am behind the waking state. I am behind the dream state. I am behind the sleep state. I am eternal. So from this, what we understand is this external world. In this external world, the Guru will come and he will awaken us. Ramana Maharshi said an example. An elephant was sleeping, and it dreamed. It was dreaming. In the dream, a lion was pouncing, jumping on the elephant. So elephant got up. Likewise, in this imaginary or in this relatively real world, the Guru or Avatar or God, he will come and instruct, and from the instruction, we have to see our internal world, and ultimately the reality for internal world and external world. As Vimaleshan pointed out, this is Sadasat because as Aruno explained that there is a rope and snake together. But if we have the light or the wisdom, we can see only the rope, which is God. So always we have to think that the external world, there was some person, I remember that the external world was a guru for him, some saint. So the external world cannot be totally negated, and external world will give us the inner experience. So totally neglecting cannot be done. For example, if I look at my wife and taking her an imaginary, and I cannot do that. So every living being, basically they are eternal. So the eternal aspect must be grasped and must be assimilated, and we will come to know that we are too eternal, like our Guru. Thank you, Sai.
Sai Ram, brother. Thank you.
Brother Arno, I have a question here, if you don't mind, please. We are talking
Yes,
about the Sadasat. Is that Maya we are talking about here? Is that
yes,
is that
Swami is
can we
Sadasat is
define this
Maya.
Maya? The Sadasat is the Maya. Can you
Yes.
say that that's the Maya is Sadasat?
Yeah, because Swami is saying in that statement, this is what is
Uh,
spoken of by us as illusion or Maya.
okay. So then I have a further question on this one then. You know Thiruvaruppayan, it says Sat Asatha Charadu Dasattarivar Anganivai Utta Sadasattam Uyir என்ற ஒரு திருவருட்பயன்ல ஒரு ஒன்று இருக்கு அதுல the real the meaning they are giving us is the real does not draw near the real. Sorry, the real does not draw near the non-real cannot know anything. The soul which applies its intelligence know both unreal.
Brother, I'm just going to mute everyone and then you. Brother Arul, please unmute yourself and speak, please. Okay.
Oh,
Brother Arul, you're muted. You should unmute yourself.
Sairam, since Arul didn't come, I think I got what I understand what he's trying to ask. If I'm
So
wrong, he can
he's
again.
back, I think.
Okay,
Brother, he's back.
let him finish.
Brother
Yeah.
Arul, you
sorry.
can speak, Mr. Brother. Yes.
Let me speak then, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Okay, let me
Yes.
bring a quote from Thiruvaruppayan. Sattu asattai charadu asattharivan anganivai utta sadasattam uyir. In that way, the meaning they are trying to give is the real does not draw near the unreal. The non-real cannot know anything. The soul which applies its intelligence to know both the real and the non-real must therefore be both. What is that definition? So, what's the answer gives us here? I cannot really combine to both of them, though. Thank you, Sarah.
See, I think first thing I would like to say is, see, when we come to study a subject, Swami, sorry, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. We take our body now. This is the form is. I mean that our body is asat. It's never ever can go away. No, the sat is in a being that atma is sat. So the combination is body is sat and asat. That's my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. So, Brother Arul, see, one of the problems we will all encounter is trying to understand what Swami is teaching with explanations which we have read somewhere. It will always cause confusion. It's my personal view and my personal experience also. But in this case, anyway, I will discuss because it doesn't seem to be too far out. Because sometimes you should understand, Thiruvaruppayan was composed by someone who understood the subject. But the reality is, there are so many people who have translated, commented, and things like that. So sometimes it's better to understand each of the concepts where Swami is saying. If you try to understand it with others, we could run into big confusion. It's my personal view. But anyway, in this case, I will say the thing is we are all trying to grapple with information and understanding which we have gained from various places, and that can cause some confusion because the sadasat, even sadasat concept also, you see, the perception doesn't exist, but the substance exists. So, for example, in this case, the rope exists, but the snake, which is also an object which you have seen somewhere else, It is not that the snake doesn't exist anywhere at all. In this world, whatever we see, whatever we even superimpose, is something which we have seen somewhere else. But we just mix up both. We think that is this is that. I think that is the problem. So the thing is, we superimpose something which doesn't exist there as something else. That is one. The second thing I think you're asking me, so Sat, Asatya, Charda, because the real truth, it doesn't have something called non-existence, which is the fact, which all of us will agree, I think. But the thing is, he says only when Asat and Sat together is one. I think that is where you're asking, because the reality is, in this world, if everything is God, what we perceive as God or non-God is what which doesn't exist. So even if you say, take a tree, that tree is also God. So in this case, let us take the example of rope and snake. The rope exists. We are okay about it. The snake doesn't exist. I think we also understand, because the snake is something superimposed on the rope. But the thing is, who is seeing the rope on the snake? You are seeing. Okay, which is also another created being. Okay. So if you look at everything, even the image which you are perceiving is also God. The rope is also God. The image which doesn't exist is also God. Because only with that help of that God that you're able to even see that image. Okay. So that is why they say both the image, even illusion, is also God. So the Maya is also God. And that is how you go into what's called Advaita philosophy. Because when you have the separation, the Maya exists. When you don't have the separation, nothing exists. Okay, only that one principle exists. So until then, this is called Vishishta Advaitam. For example, there is a concept called Soham. Swami always talks about Soham meditation, everyone does. He is I, he is I. Or even the statement, Upanishadic statement, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. So if you take the statement, there are two words. Aham is one, Brahma is another. So they are still not one, but it is just before you become one. Okay. So the same way, Aham is also God, Brahman is also God, both together is Brahman. So that is what is being explained in that verse. But I think these are things which Swami is describing later. So I think let us wait. I think the best approach in my view is, there is a statement here. We should understand every single word to the extent possible. If we have not understood, it is a guarantee that Swami will explain it later on. I think that's the way we should approach. So I think as long as we understand, we have not ignored any word in that statement, I think we are on a good path. That's my personal view. I'm sorry if I've told something which I should not say. But I always feel that if we bring, for example, people say, so Ramana Maharshi has said this, or Ramakrishna has said this. I'm not saying that they are less or anything like that. It is just that it can cause, because Ramakrishna may have said something, but so and so has told what Ramakrishna told in Bengal. Somebody has translated it in English, and somebody has commented on it somewhere else. So the information which comes to us is sometimes second and third hand. So sometimes it can get a bit colored by the person who is writing. So I think, to as much as possible, if we go to the source, I think that will be good. That's my personal view. I'm sorry. This is my opinion. You can take it or not, but because sometimes we may not be able to unravel the confusion which may cause. Because unless we go and study that subject, why that person said it, what is the context, and so on. Okay, Sairam. I am sorry if I've been giving a long-winded answer, but I thought I will say so.
Sairam,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your response. That's a great answer, because I studied this that particular Tiruvallur when I was in grade 5. That was like a long time ago. That came into my mind, and then I was kind of trying to understand that part here. But I always admire, like, Swami is God. Then the for Swami's word, we don't have to bring Ramana Maharishi or anybody else, because they are only like a jiva, but Swami is Paramatma. And I always think about that too. To bring an example, we shouldn't be bringing somebody else to validate Swami's quotation. We should bring Swami's quotation to validate their thing. That's what I always thinking about that too. Thank you very much. Sorry if I had
No,
Sai Ram,
brother. Sorry.
I wanted to have a better clarity on this part. That's the reason I was asking.
Yes. No
I
problem.
sorry, Maya.
I hope I didn't offend you. Sorry about
No,
that.
no, not at all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sai.
Sai Ram, I just want to, because I just want to make this point clear. Sivadas, please, if I am wrong, please correct. But to my memory, what Brother Arul brought in is Trivandrum. That is entirely a different philosophy from Saiva Siddhanta. So they are sadasat in that particular Trivandrum. Sadasat refers to the soul, Atma, Jivatma. So here in the Advaita, Sadasat in this context is used for the Jagat. So it's entirely, so if you mix up, you are mixing up two different philosophies. So I think Sivadas, if I am wrong, please correct me. So just if you have clearly understand that. So as Aruna said, when we not that this thing, but when we study Advaita, and when we follow Swami, we have to follow. Otherwise, it will be more confusion. Even otherwise, it's difficult to understand this. So if you bring up those things, so that is entirely a different philosophy. So either you have to study one philosophy and then study other one, or if you until and unless you have a clear idea of those philosophies, if you bring and mix up, it will create a lot of confusion. Sivadas, if I am wrong, please correct me. So there Sadasat in that Trivandrum refers to the Jivatma. Here Swami in this philosophy, and here Swami Sadasat is refers to the Jagat, the creation. Thank you, sir.
Brother, thank you.
Actually, Brother Aruno has explained it correctly, and Arul also has understood correctly that he cannot mix it here. Actually, in Thiruvaruppayan, it is based on Siddhanta philosophy, where there are two entities. So God is one, and infinite number of jivas are there. So they are totally different. So here the ultimate truth, the Vedic truth, which is one. So Baba is always talking about one. So we cannot compare, we cannot bring in Trivandrum. That Sadasat is entirely different from here Trasat. Here Baba said Sadasat because in the waking state it is Asat. When in the deep sleep state it is not existing, no. So Baba wrote the Sadasat differently, and that is entirely differently, and everybody agrees, and Arul also got it correctly, and we have to stick to Baba's philosophy, and which Arno has complimented. Thank you, sir.
The thing is, all these parts are actually valid, but the thing is, Swami says you can have two horses. Both the horses will take you, but you cannot ride both the horses. That will not take you anywhere. So you stick to one horse and then make the journey. This is what Swami says, because that is the problem. You know, if you take Bhagavad Gita, there are three people who have commented on it, like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. The same Bhagavad Gita have been explained three different ways, and all of them are valid for each follower of each of those schools. It is good. It will take them to the. It is just like, you know, if I am a Hindu, I should stick to my Hinduism. I should understand that Christianity works, Islam works. If I try to, you know, understand Islamic philosophy, I will, with using Hindu philosophy, I will fail. That's a bit of a challenge sometimes. But we need to say that the underlying unity is there. All of us are trying to go to the same goal. We coexist harmoniously. I think that's what it is. So I hope I have. Yes, brother Muthukumar wants to say
Yes,
something. Please go ahead.
I don't know, brother. Actually, this is all. My understanding is only two things. Only one thing is existing. That is, I infer from the non-existence. So non-existence is material things. That is Maya. Maya only visible and accessible and experienceable uh, by people or by my mind. Here, the mind is in my asat is actually body is asat. My body is asat. But there is another thing, important thing is superimposed. Mind is there. It has the accessibility to infer and deduce. This is body is impermanent, and we had to intuit there is something permanent. That there is something, because since there is some permanent and fully aware and knowing and understandable all existing, because of that only I am deducing this Maya. This Maya is impermanent. Body is perishable and impermanent. So only in between from consciousness and body there is mind. That mind is the product of consciousness. Mind is a product of consciousness, and that through that mind only we can understand the body as well as the consciousness. But consciousness doesn't directly experience or understand the body. Only through the mind only the body is experienceable. So that is my understanding. Maybe, but I also studied Thirupayan at the age of 10 or 11. So that also has some valid information to explore into it. But with sat asattai charadu, that means the knowing things does not really associate with asat, associate or connect with this. Actually, the in between there is the field of influence on the Maya. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you very much.
Sairam brothers, in the devotee statement currently it's in this slide, it exists in experience in the wakeful state, so it is existence. It doesn't exist in the deep sleep state, so it is non-existence. In this particular context, the until we receive the jnana stage, that's the one, my interpretation, wakeful stage is the jnana stage, everything would be non-existent, the asat. That is the I want to clarify with you, Brother Runo, that the until we receive the jnana stage or until we get into the jnana stage, everything it would be non-existent. That means that everything it would be asatyam.
Sister, in this case, your deep sleep state is your jnana state. Because the entire world comes to non-existence. And only you as a person is existing at that time. The world doesn't exist. Neither the dream world nor the waking world exist when you are sleeping. All that creation, that magic has disappeared when you are in your deep sleep state. Okay, so what is it says, at that state, there is something called prajna. That is the only thing which operates. All that you think real in this waking stage doesn't exist there. All that you think is real in your dream state doesn't exist there. Nothing exists other than just you yourself. In deep sleep, actually, we experience it, and that is when we are really rested, because we are with ourselves and only ourselves. So that is the state of jnana, but it is similar to the state of jnana. But so what the rishis are all trying to do is to replicate that state in the waking state and in the dream state. So that's when you become nirvika. You have what's called nirvikalpa samadhi or whatever. You go through the world, but as if you are in your deep sleep stage. As if you are basically sleeping to the world. Even though you are awake, you are asleep to the world. You don't take it too seriously, knowing very well that this is all unreal. What you are seeing is unreal, but you just enjoy it anyway. So that state of being able to replicate what you experience in your deep sleep in your waking state is called jnana or samadhi. I hope I didn't make it too complicated.
Yeah, when you say the nirvikalpa samadhi stage, I understand that one. The wakeful stage, even if you are in the wake stage, but you're maybe all you are in, even if you are in the wakeful stage, you still enjoy yourself in the deep sleep stage. That would take you in the real jnana stage. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Sairam.
okay.
I got it.
Sairam.
Thank you so much.
It's around 10:12. I think we have a lot of heavy dose of philosophy today for us to think and ruminate. I think it was a wonderful discussion from everyone. We will take small steps and go. This chapter is a pretty because we are not. It's not that it is difficult for anyone to understand, because if we have not spent time thinking about it, reading about it, and studying about it, it's a bit new. That's all I would say. But Swami wants all of us to. Well, this is Sandeha Nivarini, one of the first things Swami wrote in 1958. So I think he wants devotees to. That's a primer in spirituality, and I think we'll take slow steps and move. Because each time I read, I understand something new. So I'm sure I will enjoy the journey. Okay, thank you very much for all of you joining today. We will close with Samasta Loka and Shanti, please. I think so. We all understand whatever we have discussed today. So there is Sat and Asat, reality and unreality, both together. Both exist in this world, in this internal and external world. And Swami will make them a bit more clear as we go along. Okay, Saira. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Sai Ram.
Sairam.
Thank you, sir.
Sairam.